Who is an executive assistant? An executive assistant is a person or a company staff that works directly with the CEO to organize his time, his emails, to book appointments with clients, with board of directors, or with investors. Now, what are the skills that an executive assistant needs to have? Now, I'll categorize the skills into two sections. We are going to have the technical skill. An executive assistant needs to have a technical skill. One of the technical skills of an executive assistant is calendar management. Now, you need to know how to manage calendars. The calendar could be Google Calendar, but there are other calendar or booking applications that has calendar integrated into them, like Calendly, like also ClickUp and Trello or Notion. So these are other project management software. Essentially, project management software have this calendar integration in them. The first and most basic calendar management tool you should know how to use is the Google Calendar. Now you need to know how to use it in the desktop mode, also in the mobile view mode. Video, I don't want to make it longer than this. I'm going to make another video where I show you how to make appointments or book appointments with Google Calendar. After the technical skills, you as a executive assistant, you need to have soft skills, and those soft skills include communication skills. Now, a bad communication would do very bad as an executive assistant. The position is communication sensitive, both verbally and written communication. Another important soft skill for the executive assistant is the analytical and reasoning skill. Now, because you're going to be working under intense pressure, I'm not using that intense to scare you, but that's what's going to happen, unfortunately. So you're going to be working on pressure, and you need to know how to analyze. What are the things you need to drop instantly to go for the most pressing tasks? These are the analytical reasoning you need to have as an executive assistant. Now, the last but not the least soft skill you need to have as an executive assistant is the critical thinking skill. Now, there will be situations where you will be placed under a very critical position, especially when it has to do with financial data or financial information. So you need to critically assess information, critically assess financial record, critically assess who are the people bringing in the money to the company, like investor wise. You need to know how to work with those kind of people critically. You need to just put on your boss's mind when you're working with those people so that you don't make or mess up things that your boss has already preset. You need to be consistent with every information your boss is giving you. You need to be consistent and already have it in mind to know what decisions your boss are going to make. And if you don't know, you need to go and make it clear with him to understand what you need to do when you are discussing with those kind of individuals. Examples like investors, like clients, or like higher people in the management. You need to know how to work with them financial wise. Now, one of the things you'll be doing wrong as an executive assistant is not managing time properly. As an executive assistant, you'll be managing your CEO's appointments, you'll be managing his calendar, you'll be managing his emails, you'll be managing also his projects. All right. You'll be booking appointments with executive boards of directors and any consultants or clients that the company is going to be having. Another challenge of executive assistants is bad attitude. Now, attitude towards work matters. Now, you can be a very brilliant person, but you have bad attitude. Your aura is very bad. You have very negative attitude towards executing your job. Your boss is giving you assignments, you are not completing them. You are giving him silly excuses as to why you have not done those assignments. Your attitude towards executing tasks is really terrible. You'd never finish any job. You never meet any deadline. Your appointments are not matching with when the client sent, or when investors are setting appointments, you are giving them very far dates, dates that are inconvenient for your boss, or you are matching or you are crossing appointments. These are very bad reputations for the executive assistant. Now, if you have bad reputation, it can make your boss sense those energies, negative energies of like incompetence. Those are also bad attitudes. As an executive assistant, you want to be competent in managing time, making arrangement properly, making bookings that are matching the point, that time your CEO set. You are not cross booking. Clients has come for a specific day, for example, like on a Monday by 12 p.m. and your boss said you should set it for Tuesday by 3, and then you went and set the appointment for Monday for 12, you see that you have crossed matched that appointment, or you are conflicting appointment. Two executive want to meet with your CEO, and then you have crossed them together in booking the same time, which is totally impossible for your boss to do. Those are signs of incompetency as an executive assistant. Now, the CEO's position is a very complex position. The CEO manages many arms of the company indirectly. He just puts it in your head as though you have a position that you're doing. He's just lifting up the tasks or the burdens that he will not be able to bear because he has been doing all those positions before you come in. It's easy to think that you'll be able to do an executive assistant position, but if you don't know how to manage time and you don't know how to organize, you are going to have difficulty fulfilling that position as an executive assistant in an organization or a business setting. Now, what are the challenges that executive assistants face when working for their boss? Now, we as human beings have different temperaments. Now, you might not be able to flow well with your boss because he is a choleric or whatever temperament he is, or I'm not a temperament person. But one of the major reason why you're in the office, the primary goal is managing his time, whether it's a choleric, whether it's a sanguine, whatever temperament the man is. Now, your role as the executive assistant is to reduce the workload from your CEO so that he can focus on more important or pressing needs of the business or the company. If you cannot be able to do that as a person in that role, you will not be able to fulfill the position of an executive assistant. One of the mistakes an executive assistant have is not having a proper understanding about the project that he is managing. You will be working with the calendar most of the time. Now, if you're working as an executive assistant, one of the major assignments you will be doing is reducing those workloads. You will be managing his time, you'll be managing his appointment. Most of the time, you'll be going through his email to check if there's a new appointment that he has so that you can be able to schedule a required time or an appropriate time that you can be able to meet with those appointment assistant. One of the major challenge of the executive assistant is clear communication between him and his CEO. If an executive assistant is not able to communicate efficiently with his CEO, and it will be very difficult for that executive assistant to progress under a CEO that he cannot understand or properly communicate with. Now, one of the other problem or challenges that an executive assistant can have is the technical skills required to be an executive assistant. Now, one of the basic skill or technical skill for an executive assistant is project management. Now, if you're not able to do project management, I'll advise you to go and take a project management course so that you'll be able to see how you can fix deadlines for project and know how you can overrun a project from start to finish. Now, the second aspect of the project management part is time management. One of the greatest skills of an executive assistant is to be the extension of his CEO, to have the mind of his CEO, to know when it's appropriate to book an appointment with the CEO, knowing what appointments that the CEO already have and where to fit in new appointments is the greatest gift an executive assistant can have. If you don't have that, it will be a very challenging position or spot for you. You should look for other roles that you can be able to fulfill in that company. Another challenge that an executive assistant have is soft skill, communication skills. The 3 C's of communication is clarity, conciseness, and context of information. Clarity of information simply means you understanding what your boss is giving to you as an assignment, whether it's verbal or written communication. And for context means you understand every aspect of that assignment. If it's a long page document, you understand every paragraph to what your CEO is asking you to do. Or if it's a verbal communication, you understand every agenda that he has given you to execute. And concise information means it's clear and direct, and there's no conflict or confusion about that assignment. Another challenge of the executive assistant is trust. An executive assistant that can break trust or violate terms of agreement, go through confidential document, exposing company record, insider trading, and all the rest of the things that happens in the company with company staff, especially the executive assistant, is a very challenging situation for CEOs. You are working with your boss, you have access to sensitive information in his email, you have access to sensitive information from meetings that you have gone with him, you have access to his board of directors, you have access to his investors, you have access to his clients, even the top paying clients of the company. Now, as an executive assistant, those information are sensitive. Now, before you assume a role of an executive assistant, you will be signing a non-disclosure agreement stating that you are not going to violate terms of any sensitive information that has been given to you as an executive assistant. Now, if for any reason an executive assistant violates any of those agreements, he might lose the job immediately and might even be sued. All right, so it is a very critical position to be. Now, if you want to be a very good executive assistant, your boss must trust you. Your boss must trust that every information is given to you. You are not violating his trust by selling those information to his competitors. So those are the things that you want to ensure as an executive assistant that you are not doing. Now, how do you avoid bad and negative attitude towards your job? When you get assignments, you want to be able to ensure that you understand that assignment, you understand the deadlines, you understand everything that your boss has set you to do. For example, if he says go out and look for every appointment that has to do with a specific board of director, or he gives you a board of director, Alan Shosha, and says you can check everything about Alan Shosha and ensure that you book appointments for him in the nearest days. Now, the last challenge of an executive assistant is organization. Poor organization leads to fatal errors, and fatal errors leads to bad failures in management. Now, if you're not able to fulfill the position of an executive assistant, which is organization, you will fail at all the other assignments and tasks that you'll be given to by your boss. Now, what are the technical skills you need as an executive assistant? Now, one of the technical skills is setting appointments. Now, in our generation, we have software tools that you can use to set appointments like Trello. You can use Zoom, you can use Notions to set appointments. You can also use Google Calendar if you don't have those apps that I mentioned earlier. I'm going to include those apps in the description and the review. I've already reviewed all this app. I've already made instructions of how you can be able to use those apps in project management and scheduling appointments. I'll add them down in the description. Another app you should learn how to use is Microsoft Office. Now, this one you cannot escape it. Every basic role in Nigerian job or boards requires the person to be computer literate, and in that computer literacy, there is Microsoft Office. Now, if you're applying for a position, especially for an executive assistant position, you need to be competent in Microsoft Office. You don't have to know everything, at least the three basic applications or the three major applications in Microsoft Office, which is Microsoft Word, Microsoft Excel, and Microsoft PowerPoint. You should be very good at Microsoft Excel because that's where you'll be doing many of your reports, and Microsoft Word as well. Another technical tool is email management. So you need to be able to know how to use email, like Gmail mostly, because that's the most primary email for many business owners. Gmail, although some business owners have domain emails, so you need to know how to also use that as well. I'm going to include a link to how to show you how to use your email management tools. One of the things you need to learn about email management is how to set up labels. Now, labels, you need to categorize the kind of mails that are coming into your boss's email inbox, and then you are categorizing those emails. You are categorizing those emails using labels. So labels is a very good way to start in organizing the emails that your boss receives from clients, advisors, or investors. So you should be able to know who is a client, and then you should be able to direct those clients' email address and put them in those labels so that any mail that is coming from a particular client is landing on that label, so that you are not seeing a very scattered email inbox. I'm going to include the link to how to manage an email. Now, one of the most important tools for booking appointment is your Google Calendar. Now, many of the CEOs in Nigeria prefer using Google Calendar for their appointments, although you might see some using other tools like ClickUp, Monday.com if you are working for international client. But in Nigeria, most of the CEOs use Google Calendar because it's free and they don't do a monthly subscription. You can integrate it with any software easily. So when you are doing your booking of appointments, you are going to, if it's a video call, you are going to be using video conference or video call tools like Zoom or Google Meet to do your video appointment. Or if some clients want you to do WhatsApp, you can also set a meeting for WhatsApp as well.